by Don Jager, Director of Partner Recruiting over at Acumatica, and Mark Cook over at Artzel. He's a Partner Sales Manager focusing in on Acumatica. And Don, I'd like to allow you a couple of minutes to speak about Acumatica.
Well, wonderful. Thank you, Adrian. I appreciate that very much. I know we probably have a variety of people on the phone here this afternoon, or this morning, depending on where you are. But for those that might be partners, I can say that the Acumatica is certainly a very partner-friendly company. Our philosophy and go-to-market strategy is 100% through partner, so we don't sell anything direct. And what that means for our customers is that you're always going to be working with a certified, knowledgeable, helpful partner. Many times they might be close to you in proximity as well. So Acumatica is, for years now, has been the fastest growing ERP solution in the mid-market. And we are specifically focused on mid-market types of companies. So customers that are, let's say, focused on their services organization, distributors, manufacturers, retailers, could be not-for-profit organization, hospitality companies, and so forth. We may have some existing customers on the phone, and we may have some prospective customers too. So what I can say is that we're a very robust, full-featured cloud solution, but we differ from our competition in a number of different ways. Yes, we have a SaaS offering, which is a true cloud solution, but if you choose, it could also be hosted elsewhere. It doesn't have to be in our cloud. And for customers who really have an overwhelming reason why they'd like to maintain the IT infrastructure and deploy it on-prem, with Acumatica, you can do that as well. And another way we differ is that you can subscribe to the software as you would with other cloud solutions, or you can actually purchase, invest, and own a license. So everything we do is really about giving our partners and our customers choices and flexibility with a robust 100% mobile, browser-based cloud solution. So thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I should say I'm the Director of Partner Recruiting. So many of you that are partners on the phone, thank you for joining our channel. And it was probably me that was working with you, so it was a pleasure. And for any prospective partners, just very, very happy to have this opportunity for you to see more about our solution and our ISVs that extend the product and the functionality of Acumatica. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Adrian.
Thank you so much, Don, for that. And we're also joined by Artzel. Artzel was established in 2002 and has 50+ employees and growing. So they take the pain out of the sales order process by automating the error-prone tasks that include document handling and data entry. So they take the information on those paper-based processes, and their Doc Alpha business digitation platform order action application transforms scanned paper and digital orders into actionable information. And so it shortens the cycle times, it eliminates errors, enables better process control for improved customer experience. And we also have American Payment Solutions, which is a leader in credit card processing. They're endorsed merchant solutions provider for restaurants, hospitality, software companies throughout the United States and Canada. And they're a full-service merchant services provider, so they have thousands of small, medium, and large organizations that are using their integrated credit card processing application. And they have that integration with Acumatica that can enable level 3 credit card processing. So they take all the details of the order and the customer to report back to the credit card processing agencies so that they can have as much information as possible to get the lowest credit card processing rate through level 3 credit card processing. And a little bit about the workflow that we're going to be reviewing today. An order comes in, paper-based order comes in through email, fax, scan, and Artzel will transmit that data into Acumatica with their Doc Alpha solution, so that it can eliminate that, those error-prone, human-related tasks, automate them, and put all that information into Acumatica, and where Acumatica can use that information for picking and packing the order or shipping the order. And if credit card processing is the preferred form of payment for accounts receivable, then American Payment Solutions will serve that order up through level 3 credit card processing to get the lowest rate. And American Payment Solutions is sponsoring this webinar. We thank them so much for doing so. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and let Mark get started with talking about the Artzel solution and Doc Alpha.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate you guys having us on today. As you said, I'm Mark Cook with Artzel. I'm a partner program manager, and I just want to make sure everybody can see my screen. I believe we've got that shown. What I'd like to do is just give you a couple slides, give you a little overview on what Artzel does, and then we will, after the couple slides, we'll jump into a very high-level brief demo of the order action, which is the sales order processing, and then the integration of how it looks into Acumatica. So with that, I just wanted to bring up a screen here. It's a little busy, but it does show you the basic architecture of Doc Alpha. And invoice action and order action are really two out-of-the-box, prepackaged solutions that run on top of Doc Alpha. So as you can see from left to right, on the left-hand side, that's how we ingest and onboard all different document types, whether those are coming from scanners or MFPs, email attachments, portals, mobile, you name it, EDI, however you're grabbing your digital documents or paper documents, we will basically register all those endpoints and bring those in. For those that need a scanning solution, we have a scanning service station that you can tie into those physical scanners or MFPs. Once that's done, we put it through what we call a recognition, and that's actually the OCR engines running on those documents, and then it would come through all the way straight through to export into Acumatica. So we'll be using the term straight through processing a lot today, and what that means is once a document's in, it doesn't have to be touched or manually looked at. It goes through, it meets all the OCR confidence levels, it meets all your configurable business rules based on your particular needs, and it goes right out through an API into Acumatica. But for those rare instances where it cannot do straight through processing, there are a couple things up here, verification, validation, or approver station. Those allow you to work on exceptions. So what you're going to see in the demo are really exception queues that are being worked on by the user, and we'll show you how that interface works. But again, these are all the things down here: administration, monitoring, design. These are all back-end administrative functions. So if you need to design a new document, if you need to monitor all your exception batches, if you need to do some configuration, these are all behind the scenes. And Doc Alpha, invoice action, order action can come in two flavors really in terms of the user interface. One can be a thick client, and one can be a web browser-based thin client. So you can use both of those together. You can decide which one you like versus the other. Today, in the demo, I will probably be showing you the thick client just because it's easier to run on my laptop. So the next screen sort of goes into a little more overview and the actual flow. Show you that. Hold on. So if you look at this from a very, very high level, the very first thing in the business process automation would be what you saw earlier, is the capture piece. And again, that's fully automated capture. The only time an operator or user has to interact with it is if you're actually scanning some kind of paper document. And that can be done through our scan station. But primarily everything is automated in terms of email, mobile, web portal, MFP scanner. It's all automated and set up and configured. So as these documents come in, we digest them, we onboard them, and they're ready to go. The next piece of the flow, there's 3 pieces that happen behind the scenes. They're all totally unattended. Doc Alpha is doing this all behind the scenes. One would be basically take those images and get those optimized for OCR, meaning, we're going to do some cleanup on those images. We're going to make sure that they're rotated properly, eliminate any blank sheets, despeckle, deskewing, just basically pre-image processing to make that image the best quality that it is. Now, if they come in top quality, that's great. If they come in at a little poor quality, that pre-image processing really helps. Then the next step in the process is where we apply our advanced classification. So we'll classify all the documents. We'll know whether it's an invoice, a PO, a bill of lading, a delivery receipt, whatever other type of financial document you have in your workflow, we will automatically classify that. We don't need a very large sample set, a very small sample set to get the configuration properly set. And then there is a knowledge base out there with invoice action and order action. So if you were to email me right now, say 100 of your documents, and I put those through my demo machine, I would probably get on average 70% accuracy out of the box, meaning I'd be able to detect all those 70% of those documents, 70 of them out of the 100, and I'd know what they are. I'd be able to extract the header, the footer, the table data, and I wouldn't have to deal with them. These other 30% or so might have variations where that Doc Alpha, invoice action, order action couldn't pick up maybe a header data element or a footer data element, or possibly it may miss a line item, maybe something that's just totally different or we haven't seen before. So again, out of the box, it's around 70% throughput, straight through throughput rate. Then the next piece there would be we apply all the extraction rules based on what needs to be extracted off the type of document we're dealing with. And in case of a sales order, we'll get the header, footer, and table data. We'll also we can go out and do validation based on some database lookups. So we can go out to vendor master tables. We can look at different things and do validation, fuzzy logic. And then we can all the rules are all configurable, so it's a low-code type solution. We can configure those on the fly or preset those up. And then once that's done, again, if you look at from left to right here, we try to achieve 85 to low 90% straight-through processing. But for those 10 to 12% or so that can't go to straight-through processing, they go to a verification validation queue. And that queue is worked on by the user. The user can get notified, alerts, emails that they have batches, exception batches to work on. And typically there's 2 reasons why something will fail and go to a verification exception queue. It could be first that the OCR is just, below a certain percentage. So in my demo that you're going to see, it's normally around 80%. So if a document has any kind of suspect characters that are 80%, less than 80% confident, it's going to shoot that into the exception queue. And then the other reason it would fail and go to the verification exception queue is it failed the business rule. Something in the business rules didn't meet, or something in the validation out to a database has got some issues with it. And again, those are the 2. That's the area where you're going to see working with invoice action, order action on a day-to-day basis would be in the validation verification user interface. And then the final step is really just delivering and exporting out to Acumatica. So that's a real-time API interface out to Acumatica. We are a technology partner with Acumatica. We've been there with Acumatica for probably over a couple of years. And for those that were out to the recent Acumatica Summit in Nashville, we were a platinum sponsor. So those are the two slides. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of the architecture and the process flow, and then I'm just going to go and step into the demo. Just bear with me. So what I'm going to pull up here is called a monitoring station. It allows me to work and manage batches. And again, if you look at these batches, those top two batches there, they have a status, say, waiting for verification station. What it means is those are batches that are exceptions. There's documents in there that are exceptions, and it's going to need an operator or user to work on those. And you can see that other things in this, like I did an export, this went out to Acumatica, I postponed a batch. So this allows you, it's really more of a batch monitoring facility to allow you to monitor all your exceptions in your batches that are coming through. And again, you can produce reports, you can just define security here. Batches can be, designed on however an operator wants to work, what kind of batches they're going to work on, what kind of documents they're going to work on. You can suspend batches, you can prioritize batches, you can escalate things of that nature. So again, this is more of a back-end monitoring of the daily workflow that's coming through a Doc Alpha. So with that, I'm going to launch what we call our verification station. And this is that piece on that PowerPoint diagram that has to work with all the different documents that failed to go to straight through processing. Again, these are all just exceptions. So I'm going to fire that up. And what that will do, it will bring up a different screen. It'll allow me to go in and select a batch. So if I'm a user and I've gotten my notification or my email, I'm going to go out and select a batch. And in this case, there's a couple batches. These batches are actually duplicate batches. I put two batches out here just for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to select this batch and give that a second, and you'll see the screen will populate with the image on the right-hand side. And then we're going to see the documents that came through and what kind of status they have. So I have 6 POs up there. You'll see the batch came in. That could have come in as one big PDF. We split it out into the different documents. You'll see the image to the right. We'll also see what it extracted on these documents. So a lot of these documents have red or yellow highlighted here. It means they've got some issues, all right? They've either got OCR confidence issues or they've got some business rules. So in this first case, if I look at this image, this PO from Integris, it's pulling out the data pretty good. It's got all the line item detail as well. But you'll notice some of these characters here have low confidence. So if I go down to item number, it's got some confidence characters down there. No business rule violations, but if I come to the next one, now I've got some missing fields or fields that we've configured to say, hey, we'd like to pick up the tax ID, or there's an item number missing. It may not be on the document, but that's the way we set up the configuration, and we can override that and accept that as a warning. Again, if we go down to the next one, it's also got some issues. Looking for a fax number. There is no fax number on the physical document, but the configuration and the way we set the profile up says, hey, we should be looking for that. If it's not there, enter it, go out to a database, grab it, or just override it and let it go as an exception. And the same with some of these others. They have a combination of OCR confidence and some business rule violations. This one's got quite a few. It's got some mathematical rules. It can't find the vendor out there. There's no vendor name. So there's different things going on here with this one. It's got low confidence character and the currency there. So there's a lot of issues with that one. And this one just has, it's missing a tax ID. So there's, again, these are all configurable rules based on your business flow and all the different things that you will process on Doc Alpha. Again, all configurable. It's based on, again, your financial department, how you work with your different documents, what the procedures and policies that you put in place, and we would put those into Doc Alpha to mimic your processes and your procedures. So a couple things the operator has to do, the end user would have to do at this point. There are a couple little small wizards to run, and the first one is a verification wizard, and that's really going to handle the OCR confidence level. So if I run this wizard, you'll see what happens is the screen will blow up, and it'll show me what was out on the document and what we actually extracted. And then the user basically can either override this line by a visual inspection or confirm it. So for purposes of today, I'm just going to confirm most of this. I may override a few just to show you how that's done. So I'm just going, and what's happening here is Doc Alpha is going through every document, every PO, and any place on that PO where it found low confidence characters, it's just presenting those to the user to make a visual inspection and either override it with a correction or confirm it as it's good to go. So at this point, I'm just confirming, and I'm just confirming even though some of these are, like this one's wrong. So I'm going to step this back and put that in. I'm just correcting that. Again, the same with here. I picked up this versus what was really out on the image, so it had a pretty bad read on that particular character. Again, I'm just confirming some of these, even though they might be still wrong. It's okay, just for demo purposes, just going through these. And again, the operator doesn't have to decide. It just leads them through step by step where things are. And it will come through. It's just this one picked up a comma versus a decimal. So I'm going to correct that. Same with this. I'm going to correct that really quick. And what it says is the batch verification is complete. So with that, I've taken care of any of those OCR low confidence characters. And you'll notice up here, some of these things turn to green, meaning they're good, they were corrected, but we still have some warnings here in some of these issues. So what I can do is run another wizard, which will allow me to go through and process my business rules, just like I did with my OCR confidence. So I'm going to run the wizard. Oops. Give me 1 second here. So it brings up and it shows me, I've got some item numbers that it's trying to look for to extract. But on this particular PO, there really aren't any item numbers. There's quantity, description, price. So I am going to just confirm that these are okay I'm going to accept those warnings and let that go. And then it goes on to the next document. Same kind of thing. I've got some table data. I got a tax ID that's not there. And you can see, it'll tell you where everything is. It'll show me where it picked up everything. So as I hover over it, it'll show me everything I picked up. Shows me the data. Anywhere I click on it, it'll tell me where it got it off the image. So I can hover over any of these at any time and it'll know where everything is. So at this point, I can say, okay, this looks good. I'm going to accept that as well. Okay, let's go to the next one here. This one had a little problem, wanted a fax. There is no fax. I could either go out to a database and grab it. Same with the item numbers. They're not physically present on the document. So I can accept those warnings as well. Again, it steps down to the next one. This one's got a tax ID. I can put something in here. I can go out to a database and look at it, or I can just accept it. So in this case, I'm going to accept it. And then this one is a little bit different of a PO. It's a French PO. It's all in French. It's from Quebec, so it's got some issues. If it's saying, hey, I got a database rule error, I'm going to go out here. Hey, there's no matching records found, so I could basically, if I wanted, I could suspend this guy. I could reject this document. I guess I could assign it to Design Station and try to create a new document for it, or I can delete it. I can do different things with it. In this case, I'm going to, let me just run this one more time. And then there's a problem on the math rules here. So if I highlight that, it tells me, hey, there's something wrong on this document. It's not adding up, and I know that this is not correct. So if I look at that field, if I come over to my total, I'm going to actually put in, it should be, let me just see here. I think that's the wrong total. That should be 611 and 81 cents. So we can configure math rules and things of that nature. So that is going to be, that should set that right. Okay, that's good. And then I'm just going to accept those. And again, accept this tax ID, doesn't have to be there. I'm good to go. So what I've done here, and you notice these are all now have green or they have some warnings. So the ones with the green and yellow, I mean, hey, I accepted those with some warnings because either the data wasn't on there, I've overwritten it, or I've corrected it. So at this point, I can go out. Let me just, oops, one second. Get rid of this here. I'm just going to send this batch out for processing. So I'm just going to release the batch. So what it's doing now, it's sending that exception batch back out to Acumatica. And you'll notice the screen will go blank. And if I bring up my monitoring station, I'm just going to highlight what's going on in the monitoring. So it's processing at verification. It should process that export. You'll see that batch number 272 is now processing the export. It's interacting with Acumatica, sending that data out. And it will eventually come back and say, done at export. So that batch is done. I've corrected those two things, the OCR confidence and the business rules. And now what I can do is I can come into Acumatica. Let's just see here. I can bring up one of those POs. And I can take a look at that file. And there's all the data into Acumatica. Here's the image as well. So there's the image. I've seen the image. And here's all the data along with the line item data, table data. I can also go out and look at some other, let's take a look at this one. This is one that was in that batch. That was a very large, that was Integris, and you can see that. I can actually go out and look at that right through Acumatica. I can pull up the image. So everything in Acumatica is populated from these sales orders. So there's that batch, there's that document. And I can also take a look at some more that came over. Let's see here. This was another one of those that was in the exception queue. And again, I could pull that up. And there it is as well. So that just shows you that there is a seamless interface from Doc Alpha into Acumatica. And that allows me to you know, all this data was populated, not only the header, footer, but the line item data, table data. It matches what I sent over. If I wanted to process another batch, I can come back out and I could process, you know, the next one. Now this next one is the same one you saw earlier, so I'm not going to do that again. What I will show you very, very quickly, I'm bringing up a web, the thin client look and feel, just to give you an idea how that looks. I won't run through the whole thing again, but just to give you the different look and feel of the user interface. So I'm going to proceed. This is the web verification station. It's the same thing as you saw on the thick client. This is more the thin client. So again, it shows you the batches that are out there. It has a different look and feel. I'll bring this up for now. Let's see. And you can run these independent. You can run a thick client, a web browser-based user interface. the operator can pick and choose what one is better for them. So it does the same thing. There's a lot of buttons here. It's a little crowded, but you can basically, you can change your language. You can change your colors. So if I wanted to go dark, if I wanted to go light, if I wanted to go navy, if I wanted to go simple theme, if I wanted to go back to bright, I can change. I can basically take buttons in and out. I can reconfigure the look of the screen. And again, it does the same thing. It has the image to the right and all the data that it extracts and any kind of business rule violations. So if I come down here, you'll see that there's the same kind of things that you saw earlier. It's just presenting it in a different manner. And I can expand these buttons. So again, this is just a different look and feel. It's totally configurable. You can design this screen for the operator if they only do certain things with a batch and they don't need to see all these other buttons or highlights or different views. We can take that all out. So that is what I wanted to show you today, to give you just a quick overview of invoice action, order action. Again, for those that may want to dive a little deeper into the solution, a lot of times we will follow up with you, or you can follow up with us. We can actually put your documents through this system and see what the straight-through processing rate looks like, what the out of the box, how the out of the box extraction and classification will work on your document. So that's something we usually offer to anyone that wants to go to the next level, to take a closer, deeper dive. So with that, Adrian, I'm good to go here.
Thank you so much, Mark, for that.